sixth one, the one that I don't have access to yet, is uranium, which is researched here with atomic theory. I'm actually working on getting combustion, so next I'll reveal that. And uranium is pretty much just for making nuclear units, for making stuff like nuclear submarines and then making atomic bombs or nuclear cruise missiles. So it's not required. By the time you get to uranium, you usually have a ground army that's able to take over other people. Just, a ground army based on oil or aluminum, you don't need the uranium. Although atomic bombs are fun. And even more fun than atomic bombs and nuclear missiles are giant death robots. Giant Death Robot is the ultimate unit. It costs a lot to build it. It's 1,000 hammers. But it has 3 moves. It has a combat strength of 150, and so it just crushes everything in its path, as a Giant Death Robot should. So that's it for strategic resources. And now, finally, this is the last thing that I'm going to talk about. I promise this is going to be the end of my basics tutorial. I'm going to talk about victory. Because after all, if you're playing Civ, you want to win. And I'm going to go to the victory progress screen here. There are 5 different types of victory in Civ 5. The easiest one is the score victory here. The score victory is or as it's known also, is a time victory. There are 500 turns in Civ 5, so I'm at 326, so I have 174 turns left. And it's going to go all the way to 2050. When you reach 2050 and you reach turn 500, the game ends, and whoever has the highest score is going to win. So that's kind of boring. It's a victory by default, sort of. So it's not very interesting. But sometimes on on the harder difficulty levels, getting a score victory, a time victory, is all you can manage to do. So obviously, if you want to have a score victory, try to get the biggest empire with the largest population, the most land, the most wonders, be the more technologically advanced, etc., and you'll win that. And then there are 4 victories that actually require you to do something special. The first victory is the domination victory, which requires that you be the last player in control of your capital. This is very, very important because you do not need to eliminate other civs. Now, I did eliminate the French and I did eliminate the Ottomans. It's always good to eliminate other civs if you can, but you do not need to do that. All you need to do is get them to lose control of their capital. You don't even have to have control of their capital yourself. If, let's say, the Romans lose control of their capital because Genoa decides that it's pissed and it sends, infantry over to destroy Rome and to get control of it, I, as the last player standing with my capital in my control, I would win a domination victory. But usually, when you're getting a domination victory, you will end up crushing a lot of other civs. And so that's also why you cannot raise capitals, because obviously you do need to, it's part of the domination victory. Now, let's say there are a couple of ways to get the capital back. So just because the Ottomans have lost their capital doesn't mean they're out. If, let's say, the Romans pull a giant death robot out of their ass and attack me, and let's say they liberate Istanbul here, which used to be the Ottoman capital, and they get it from me and they liberate the city, and they decide to put the Ottomans back in the game. The Ottomans would be back in the game and they would have control of their capital again, and so they would come back from the brink of death here, and they would they would count as having control of their capital again. So instead of having 2 players, there would be 3 players in control of their capital again. So that's one way. The other way to come back, there was something else. I can't remember what it is. Oh well, there's a way to come back, let's say, from getting your capital. Oh yeah, if I lose my capital, but I'm not out of the game, I can also just seize it back. If the Romans make a sneak attack on Kyoto, they take it over, I can just send all my infantry back to Kyoto, take it back, and I will get my capital back. I'll be safe. This is not a permanent, out of the game elimination. You can still come back if you lose your capital, or even if you're eliminated. Sometimes if another civ liberates one of your cities or your capital, you can come back. So that's the domination victory. Kind of requires a large empire, a large military. If you are aiming for that, you'll really want to go for the honor policy track, and then autocracy, which has more bonuses for fighting wars, and then piety. Probably if you have a large empire, you'll want piety too. So that's domination victory. The next victory is science, and science is very fun. It requires you, first of all, to rush to a technology which lets you build the Apollo program, which is rocketry. Rocketry is here. There we go. This lets you build the Apollo program. So that's the first thing you want to do. You want to rush the Apollo program to the rocketry tech, and then build the Apollo program. And once you do that, and you build the Apollo program, it lets you build spaceship components in your cities. And the spaceship components do require further techs to be researched. So, for example, I have rocketry here. I have the Apollo program. But I do need to research, for example, robotics to be able to build, first of all, a spaceship factory, which will help, but the spaceship booster, which is one of the parts that you need to build for a spaceship victory. And once you have all those parts, so the spaceship booster, spaceship cockpit, you have the couple more, spaceship engine, and spaceship stasis chamber. Once you have the requisite number of all of those parts, and you assemble them in your capital, so you build them, they're like units, you have to move them back to your capital and add them onto your spaceship. Once you have added all the required spaceship parts to your spaceship, the parts for Alpha Centauri, which is the nearest habitable star system, and you win a space victory. So it's a little more difficult than a score victory. Obviously, it requires you to work a little more. And it's very much a science-based victory, so you will do well here if you have a large empire. Obviously, you'll want to go for rationalism to boost your science, and then you might probably want to go for order to get more production in your cities from something like communism, get a large empire going, maybe even get something like, I don't know, possibly freedom or commerce or patronage, but really you want to focus on rationalism and order if you're going for that. You don't have to fight anyone to get that victory, which is always nice. The third kind of special victory is a diplomatic victory. It's similar to science at the beginning in that you have to rush to the globalization tech here, which will let you build the United Nations, and having the United Nations triggers voting. I believe it's every 5 or 6 turns. Everyone has to vote for someone for a Secretary General of the United Nations. And the number of votes that you get, if you look here at Victory Progress, if you go into details, first of all, civilizations always vote for themselves if they're still in the game. Obviously, if they're not in the game anymore, then they do not get to vote for themselves. So I vote for myself, Rome would vote for itself, and then city-states vote for their allies. So if you have a lot of city-states that are your allies, you're going to get a lot of votes from them. You are also guaranteed a vote if you liberate a city-state from the yoke of a civilization. So, for example, if the Romans, for example, were to liberate Edinburgh from me, Edinburgh would forevermore vote for the Romans if the United Nations came up. Of course, if I take it back, and then for some reason the Ottomans come back from the dead and take Edinburgh, then Edinburgh will switch its vote to the Ottomans. And you can also, this is the unique twist in that if you liberate another civ, if you bring another civ back from elimination because you capture one of their cities that had been captured by someone else, if you liberate that city and they come back into the game, instead of voting for themselves, they will vote for you. So, for example, I liberate the French for some reason, I attack one of my own cities, I bring them back from the dead, the French will vote for me no matter what happens instead of voting for themselves. So the diplomatic victory is kind of a popularity contest victory. It's very much based on gold in that you want to have a lot of city-state allies on your side, and then once you get the requisite number of votes, so for example right now there are 9 available votes, so you need 7. Once I have 6 allied city-states, I can just go for the diplomatic victory and it will guarantee my victory as soon as voting is triggered a handful of turns after I build the United Nations. So that's the diplomatic victory. If you want that victory, you really ought to go for patronage and for commerce. Commerce will boost your gold. Patronage will make it easy to have lots of city-state allies. That's basically it. And then the last victory type is a cultural victory. It's probably the hardest type of victory to get because it's very slow and it requires you to have kind of a small empire because first of all, it requires you to fully unlock 5 policy tracks. So, hang on. close this. It requires you to get all the policies in 5 different policy tracks, which means 25 policies plus unlocking 5 policy tracks. That's 30 policy milestones. So it takes quite a while. And since the culture required for the next cultural milestone increases as you get a larger empire, you're kind of stuck either staying with a small empire or just getting a lot of puppets if you are forced to fight. So it's very, very difficult to get. And obviously you want to have the freedom policy track to get boost to your culture. And then, since you're going to have very large cities, you'll have probably a lot of specialists. You probably want to get rationalism too, because if you have a small empire, your science is going to suffer. You want to have a boost for that. And then you can get something like Liberty, which has representation here. It's +1 culture boost in every city. It's not huge, but it's there. And get patronage too, because if you want to make friends with a lot of cultured city-states, will give you bonus culture. That's a very, very good idea. And so once you've actually unlocked all those, the 5 fully researched 5 policy tracks, you can build the Utopia project, which is a special project, which is a wonder. It takes a while to build, and once you finish building that, you've won. That's it. So it's not a very interesting victory, but it is certainly more difficult than the other victory types. And so that's it. Wow, can't believe I've actually finished talking about everything I wanted to talk about. This is probably already over an hour long, so I'm going to end it there. These were kind of advanced concepts. I know great specialists, wonders, and stuff like that. It's a little difficult to understand. So if you guys have any questions, post them in the comments. Subscribe to my channel because I'm not done making tutorial videos, although I'm not sure when I'll make the next one. I'll have to find something to focus on for my next video. So if you have anything that you guys really want to see explored more in depth, tell me. And for now, I am going to finish crushing the Romans and win my game here with the Japanese. So thanks for watching, and until next time, have a good one, guys.